On this episode of Eat, Sleep, Drive, it's all about coilovers. I'm going to show you how to adjust and maintain your coilovers. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Eat, Sleep, Drive, and this one is all about coilover maintenance. Have you ever gotten car parts in the mail and immediately wanted to put them on your car? I know I have. It's natural. You bought them and you're ready to go and put them on your car, but with coilovers, there's a couple things that you can do that is going to help you in the future to be able to adjust them. So we're going to be going over those today. This car already has coilovers. This is my buddy Adam's car, and he's helped me with my LS swap, so you've seen him before in these episodes. But as you can see, this thing sits pretty low, so we're going to raise it up a little bit. It's his daily driver. But while we're at it, we're going to do a couple things to protect these coilovers in the future. So we do have these spring bags from Eibach, which are pretty premium, if I'm honest. But before we even put these bags on, we're going to clean the coilovers up a little bit, and we're going to put some sort of corrosion protectant on it, and we'll go over that all in a little bit here, but let's dive into it. All right, so we obviously have the wheel off now, and this is the shock body. So the first thing that we're going to do is just clean this off with like some brake clean and just a regular toothbrush. You don't really want to use a wire brush because you'll mess up the finish on the metal. So we're going to clean this up just to make it a little easier to move things around, but fundamentally what we're going to be doing is moving these rings so we can get anti-seize on the areas where the rings sit. And that is just to help us in the future to be able to move these and so they don't corrode and fuse to this sort of shock body. Once we do that, we're going to then spray it with some sort of maybe like silicone spray to just protect the whole body, and then we'll put the bags on to prevent them from drawing any dirt and debris that might stick to the anti-seize. But the first thing we're going to do is clean this off, and then we'll get to the next portion. Since we're adjusting the height on this car, we're going to want to measure the two things. We're going to measure the distance between this ring, this bottom ring, and this first top ring, and then we're going to want to measure the distance between this ring up right here that sets the preload and the top of the shock mount. That way we have two reference points, and when we go to clean this area, we're going to want to return the spring to the appropriate spot, which will have that measurement, and then we're going up an inch on this shock, so we'll be decreasing an inch in this measurement. So go ahead and get a dial caliper or maybe a tape measure. Stick the dial caliper in here, and then I get a measurement of 4.69, and then I'll write that down, and then I'll measure the top as well, so you'll have those two reference points.
69 is the best number there is.
Yeah. We're gonna work on this bottom mount first, and so this coilover, no one put anti-seize or anything on it to begin with, so you see kind of how difficult it is for a coilover that's been driven on for a while. But you're gonna want to take the coilover wrench and spin it. We're gonna go up with it, so we're pushing up, or to the right I should say, and we're gonna try and break this loose and then spin that collar up so we can adjust the bottom mount or the shock body itself, and then also get some anti-seize in there to lubricate it. So true to form with coilovers that haven't been maintained properly, this collar does not want to spin, so we're just spraying some penetrating oil and gonna let it soak in a little bit and then try again. So unfortunately, doing this by hand was proving to be difficult, so we're gonna try hammer and a punch here to try and knock this thing loose.
Trying to hit my fender. Is that spinning?
I can't see.
Dude.
Oh yeah. Nailed it. Now you should be able to spin that thing.
Huh. So you
theoretically.
You've not seen me at work. Ooh.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Real grimy. Alright, so now we are spinning the whole shock body, and since we're raising the car up, we're basically elongating the entire shock body by rotating it and spinning it around. What we're going to want to do is raise it more than an inch so we can put the lubricant back in those threads and then thread it back in so we actually have the anti-seize in the housing itself. Okay, so you can see the progress we've made pretty easily there, the color difference in the threads. So we brought this down more than an inch because ultimately we want an inch of extended length on the shock body, but we brought it down more than an inch so we can lather it up with some anti-seize and then bring it back up and get it right on that that 1 inch mark that we're looking for. So we just spray it with brake clean to get the crap off. We're gonna let it dry and then hit it with some anti-seize. With our anti-seize on, we're bringing that locking collar on the bottom all the way down to the desired height that we specified earlier. And we're just gonna keep measuring and adjusting this ring and adjusting the collar. Now this bottom assembly here is at the desired length. We're gonna snug this bottom collar down to lock this into place so the height adjustment doesn't change, and then we'll move up to the top. We're moving on to the top. We already took our measurement from the top of the mount to the first collar, so we know what preload we're set at. We're just going to move the collars out of the way so we can slather some anti-seize on there, just like we did on the bottom, and then we'll be good to go.
So hard to find the hole. There we go. That's much better.
So with that collar brought down and us applying a bunch of anti-seize above and below, we're going to return that top collar, which sets the preload on the spring, up to its original position, and then we'll bring that locking ring below it up and tighten them up, and then we can move on to our last step. We're all set on our preload, just bringing up that locking collar, and then we're gonna put the wrench on it and tighten these up. You'll have to go basically opposite directions with these to lock them up. All right.
There we go.
That's torque to spec. So this one is good now. From an anti-seize perspective, these collars are moving way easier than they did when we started, so that is great. We're gonna move on to now is with some silicone spray, and we're just gonna basically coat this thing liberally, because you really can't put too much on. Go ahead, Adam. Get the hell out of the way. And all this stuff does is basically just add a little layer of silicone, and the silicone is good for just protecting all kinds of surfaces, but it will protect and prevent rust in the future and just add a small layer of protection. And it also lubricates as well, but we don't really need to put or want to put anti-seize all over the whole housing body, so silicone spray is a good lubricant to go with. If you're feeling ultra premium, you can buy these coilover bags like Adam has. They look pretty cool, but they're also perform a function as well. It's going to prevent dirt and debris from getting in that cylinder where the shock goes. Obviously pretty straightforward, these things, they're just Velcroed. So you're just going to want to wrap it around the shock and spring and Velcro it down. And that should help prevent some dirt and debris from getting in your shock. And here we are with the coilover covers on. So these will do a good job of preventing any dirt and dust from getting in the shock body itself. So that's really it. Alright guys, that is it. It is as simple as that. An easy way to maintain and prevent your coilovers from corroding. You know, it's definitely, there's a lot of really expensive coilovers out there. Don't laugh at us. We did this on Godspeed coilovers today, but there's plenty of expensive coilovers out there. Regardless, it's cheap, easy to do this, especially if you do this before you put them on the car. Obviously, it's way easier, and you don't have to mess around with trying to break them loose from dealing with all that corrosion to begin with. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. This is Eat Sleep Drive. We do all kinds of car things on this channel, and follow my build thread, doing an LS1 swap on a 240SX. But thanks for watching, guys. As always, we'll see you next time.